The sky turned dark as a massive shadow passed over the city. People stopped on the streets, staring upward. It was not a cloud, not a plane, and not a meteor. It was something much bigger. Hundreds of alien ships, shining like silver mirrors, hovered above Earth. Their shapes were strange, like nothing humans had ever seen. Some were tall and pointed, others were round and glowing. They filled the sky from horizon to horizon. In a quiet command center, humans watched the screens with wide eyes. Scientists whispered, military officers held their breath, and news reporters shouted into cameras. "They are here," someone finally said. "The mighty empire." The aliens had sent a message before they arrived. It was formal, elegant, and full of pride. "We come in peace. We bring knowledge and power. We are the rulers of the stars," the message read. Humans tried to understand every word. Some were impressed, but others quietly laughed. The words sounded important, but the way the aliens delivered them made the humans uneasy and curious. The first ship landed in a huge field outside the city. Dust and small rocks flew in every direction as the ground shook. A ramp slowly opened, and a tall figure appeared. It was the alien leader. Its body was tall, over 3 meters, with shining armor that reflected the sunlight. Its face had many eyes, all blinking in unison. Long arms ended in claw-like hands, and its voice was deep, echoing like a drum. Humans gathered at a safe distance. Soldiers aimed their weapons, but no one wanted to fire first. Scientists tried to speak into microphones, hoping the aliens could understand them. The alien leader raised one hand and spoke. The voice boomed, but the words were strange. Humans could not understand the exact meaning, but the tone was serious, proud, and commanding. Then the alien did something unusual. It pressed a button on a strange device. A huge beam shot into the sky, meant to impress humans. But instead of a bright flash, it released a puff of purple smoke. The smoke twisted and formed funny shapes, like animals dancing in the air. Humans could not hold back. They laughed, pointing at the smoke, some even taking pictures. The aliens froze. Their proud expressions seemed confused. They had never expected laughter. The alien leader waved its arms, trying to regain control. Another device activated. This time, it made loud noises, like a trumpet, but instead of frightening sound, it played a strange melody that humans found silly. Everyone laughed harder. Children ran around imitating the alien sounds, and even serious scientists chuckled behind their hands. The alien leader blinked all its eyes rapidly. It looked shocked, maybe even offended. A human diplomat stepped forward. She bowed politely. "Welcome," she said. "We are happy to meet the mighty empire." The aliens looked at her, waiting for something grand, but her calm smile and simple words seemed strange to them. The leader tried to speak again, but the words sounded awkward. Humans continued to smile and laugh quietly, pretending they were listening carefully. Aliens began showing more of their power. A massive walking machine, taller than a building, rolled forward. Its legs made loud clanking sounds. The aliens expected humans to be afraid. Instead, someone shouted, "It walks funny," and others laughed. The machine stumbled slightly, and the humans laughed even more. The aliens hurried to fix it, but every movement seemed clumsier than before. Humans whispered among themselves, excited and amused. "They think they are scary," one soldier said, "but they look like giant toys." The alien leader's eyes blinked faster. It was trying to understand humans, but humans were unpredictable. Their laughter, their gestures, their calmness, it all confused the aliens. Then the alien leader motioned to a platform. On it, tiny drones flew in formation, creating patterns in the air. The patterns were meant to show intelligence, art, and precision. But one drone moved slightly wrong, bumping into another. Humans laughed, pointing at the tiny crash. Even the most serious officers could not hide their smiles. The aliens looked frustrated. They had practiced for centuries to impress, and humans were laughing at their mistakes. In the crowd, a young engineer whispered, "They do not know we enjoy this. They think we are simple. They are wrong." Humans were not afraid, but curious and playful. They watched every move, trying to understand the aliens while quietly enjoying their awkward display. The sun began to set. The alien leader raised its hands again, signaling the end of the demonstration. Humans clapped politely, though some could not stop giggling. The aliens looked around, unsure. The mighty empire had traveled across stars to show power, but humans had not been impressed. Humans had laughed. As the aliens prepared to speak again, a child threw a paper airplane toward the leader. It floated gently in the air, hitting the alien's armor with a soft tap. The alien froze. Humans laughed louder. The leader's pride seemed wounded, but there was something else too. Behind the confusion and frustration, there was curiosity. These humans were different. They were small, fragile, and yet fearless. They did not bow, they did not run, and they did not cower. They laughed. For the first time, the aliens realized that humans were not like any species they had ever met. They had traveled far, built great machines, and conquered worlds. Yet here, on this small blue planet, humans were unpredictable. Their laughter, their simplicity, their cleverness. It was strange, powerful, and intriguing. The alien leader stepped back, its many eyes blinking slowly. It had a long way to understand these humans. And humans, watching and laughing quietly, wondered what would come next. Something was beginning. Something that neither humans nor aliens could fully see yet. But it promised to be strange, funny, and extraordinary. Humans watched the alien leader as it stepped forward on the landing platform. Its armor gleamed in the sunset, and its many eyes blinked in unison. It raised its claw-like hands and spoke. The words were loud and formal, but humans could not understand them fully. The tone was proud and serious, meant to impress. Humans tried to bow politely, showing respect. But the alien leader's gestures were so exaggerated that it looked almost comical. It waved its arms in patterns that seemed like a dance. Some soldiers whispered, "Are they dancing?" The diplomats tried to maintain their composure, but a few could not hide their smiles. The alien leader pointed to a huge device behind it. It was covered in lights and strange symbols. The leader pressed a button, expecting humans to be shocked. Instead, a series of flashing lights made random noises, like a musical toy. Humans burst into laughter. Some even clapped, thinking it was a performance. The alien leader blinked all its eyes and froze. It had never expected this reaction. Then came the most serious moment of the day. The alien leader opened a huge case and revealed a strange weapon. It was long, shiny, and terrifying. Humans instinctively stepped back. The aliens expected fear, but instead, the humans leaned forward curiously. One child laughed and pointed. "It's like a metal stick with buttons." The alien leader activated the weapon. A bright light shot out. Humans held their breath, but nothing happened. Instead of destroying anything, the beam created bubbles that floated gently in the air. Everyone laughed. Adults laughed. Children laughed. Even serious scientists could not hide their amusement. The aliens looked confused. Their mighty weapon, meant to show power, had become a toy. One brave diplomat stepped forward. She smiled and said, "Your technology is very interesting." The alien leader paused, trying to understand the tone. Humans were supposed to be respectful and scared. Instead, they were polite, curious, and laughing. It was a combination the aliens could not predict. Next, the aliens tried to show their strength. Massive robots walked forward, their legs clanking loudly on the ground. Humans watched carefully. One robot tripped slightly, its heavy foot landing awkwardly. A group of children ran forward, imitating the robot's movements. Humans laughed, pointing and making funny noises. The aliens blinked in surprise. They had practiced for centuries to impress other species. No one had laughed like this before. The alien leader signaled for more demonstrations. Drones flew in complex formations, meant to show precision and control. But one small drone bumped into another, spinning in circles. Humans laughed even harder. Some scientists jotted down notes, others whispered jokes. The aliens tried to hide their frustration, but it was clear they did not understand these humans at all. Humans, on the other hand, were calm and clever. They whispered among themselves, planning quietly. "They think they are showing power," one officer said, "but they are making mistakes. We can learn a lot from them, and have some fun too." They laughed softly, but carefully, pretending to respect the aliens while noticing every detail. Then the alien leader made a mistake. It tried to demonstrate a flying platform that was supposed to hover perfectly. But it wobbled and tilted, almost tipping over. Humans gasped, then laughed. A small boy shouted, "It's going to fall!" The aliens panicked, trying to fix it, but every move made humans laugh louder. Humans began to notice something important. The aliens were very serious, very proud, and very predictable. But humans were different. They could laugh, they could be clever, and they could see mistakes others could not. The balance of power was not just about machines or weapons, it was also about intelligence, creativity, and humor. The alien leader finally stopped the demonstrations. It raised its hands and tried to regain control, but the humans had already learned something important. The mighty empire was proud, yes, but not perfect. And humans were unpredictable. A young engineer whispered to a soldier, "We are not afraid. They may have traveled across stars, but we can see their mistakes. And that gives us power too." The soldier nodded. He watched the aliens carefully, trying to hide his excitement. Humans laughed quietly again, just enough to remind the aliens that they were not ordinary. They were not simple, and they would not bow easily. The aliens looked around, confused, frustrated, and strangely curious. As the sun disappeared below the horizon, humans and aliens stared at each other. Both sides had something to learn. Humans had discovered that laughter could be as powerful as weapons. Aliens had discovered that humans were different, unpredictable, and strangely clever. Something new was beginning. A contest of intelligence, patience, and humor was about to unfold. And humans, with their simple tricks and laughter, were ready. The next morning, the aliens invited humans to a large arena outside the city. The arena was massive, made of shiny metal and strange glowing panels. Humans walked inside carefully, looking around. The aliens waited, their many eyes blinking in excitement. They had prepared a challenge, one to show the intelligence and skill of humans. The alien leader raised its arms and spoke. The humans could not fully understand the words, but the gestures were clear. "Prove your worth. Show your intelligence. Win the games." Humans nodded politely. They were calm, curious, and ready. The first game began. It looked simple at first, a set of strange shapes on a platform. Aliens explained the rules through gestures. Humans studied the shapes carefully. The aliens expected them to struggle. But humans had something the aliens did not: creativity. One human engineer picked up a shape and placed it in a way the aliens had not imagined. The platform lit up and moved in a strange, unexpected pattern. The aliens blinked rapidly. Their own game was working, but not as they intended. Humans were smiling quietly, enjoying the moment. Next, the aliens presented a puzzle of lights and levers. The lights were meant to create a pattern only an alien mind could solve. Humans looked at the puzzle and laughed softly. They tried simple methods, pressing levers in ways the aliens had never predicted. Slowly, the lights formed a pattern. Humans clapped quietly. The aliens were shocked. They had never thought such simple thinking could succeed. The humans were clever, but also playful. In one challenge, the aliens had created a maze with moving walls. Humans walked carefully, testing each path. But a young boy found a way to trick the walls. He pushed a small panel, and suddenly, the walls stopped moving. Humans laughed. The aliens gasped. Their perfect maze had been defeated with a small trick. The aliens tried to remain serious. They thought humans had just been lucky. But humans were not lucky. They were smart, observant, and creative. In every challenge, humans found ways to succeed, not by following alien rules, but by thinking outside the box. At one point, the aliens introduced a serious test of strength. A giant platform required teamwork to lift. Humans studied it, then worked together. They lifted the platform in a way the aliens had not expected. Slowly, carefully, using balance and coordination. The aliens had used raw power, but humans used brains and teamwork. The platform moved perfectly. The humans smiled. The aliens blinked all their eyes in disbelief. The crowd of humans and aliens watched silently. The aliens had traveled across galaxies, expecting fear and awe. Instead, they saw laughter, cleverness, and teamwork. Humans were not afraid. They were observant, calm, and unpredictable. During a break, some humans whispered to each other. "They think they are superior." "They do not see our strengths," said a soldier. "We can beat them without fighting," said a young engineer. They all laughed quietly, enjoying the fun of outsmarting a mighty empire. The alien leader finally called everyone together for the last game of the day. It was a test of memory and logic. The aliens expected humans to fail. They had never seen humans solve problems so fast. But humans looked carefully, noticed small details, and worked together. One by one, they solved the challenges. Each solution surprised the aliens more. At the end of the day, humans had won every challenge, not by force, but by clever thinking, observation, and humor. The aliens were frustrated and amazed. They did not understand this species. Humans were small and fragile, yet strong in ways aliens could not measure. The humans laughed quietly, looking at the confused aliens. "They are too serious," whispered one young officer. "We can learn from them, and teach them too," said another. The humans understood something important. Intelligence, humor, and creativity could be more powerful than weapons or machines. As the sun set, the arena was silent. The aliens looked at humans with a mixture of frustration and curiosity. They had expected fear, but they had found laughter, cleverness, and unpredictability. Humans had shown their strength in a way no alien had ever imagined. Something had changed. Humans were not just a small planet species. They were clever, resourceful, and fearless. And the aliens were beginning to realize that these humans could not be controlled easily. The humans left the arena, smiling quietly. They had learned much about the aliens, and the aliens had learned something about humans too. But not all. The real challenge was just beginning. And the humans were ready for anything, laughing quietly at the mistakes and pride of the mighty empire. The next day, the aliens brought humans to a huge hall filled with strange machines and glowing panels. The air smelled different, like electricity and something sweet. The walls shimmered, and the floor vibrated slightly under the humans' feet. Aliens moved around proudly, showing off their technology. The alien leader stepped forward. Its many eyes blinked in unison. "Behold our greatest creations," it said in a booming voice, though humans could not understand all the words. The gestures were clear. Humans were meant to be amazed, even intimidated. The first machine was enormous. It floated in the air, spinning slowly, with energy beams dancing around it. Aliens expected humans to be shocked. Humans stared carefully. One young engineer tilted his head. "It wobbles," he whispered. Others looked and nodded, trying not to laugh. The machine trembled slightly, and the humans quietly chuckled. The aliens noticed but did not understand why. Next, the aliens demonstrated a huge energy beam. They pressed buttons, expecting a spectacular display of power. A bright light shot into the sky, but instead of a perfect beam, it zigzagged, moving like a snake. Humans laughed openly. Some even waved at the beam, pretending to follow it like a playful pet. The alien leader's eyes blinked quickly. Pride turned into confusion. The aliens then revealed floating platforms, each large enough to carry humans and alien soldiers. They hovered silently, perfectly balanced, or so the aliens thought. A small platform tilted slightly as a human stepped on it. The humans smiled and kept their balance easily, while the platform swayed comically. Humans laughed, and even serious officers shook their heads, trying not to giggle. The aliens hurried to adjust the platforms, but each correction made them wobble even more. One alien tried to show a holographic map of the galaxy. Stars, planets, and fleets appeared in 3D, spinning around in perfect order. Humans studied it carefully. One child tapped the map and made a tiny star jump out of place. Humans laughed quietly, pointing at the jumping star. The aliens blinked. Their perfect map had a mistake, and humans found it funny. The alien leader motioned to a device that looked like a weapon, but it was meant for creating illusions. It shot out bright lights forming strange shapes. Humans watched as one shape appeared to be a giant alien dog. A few humans laughed, some pointed, others whispered jokes. Even the aliens had to pause, unsure if the display was working correctly. Humans began to notice a pattern. Every time the aliens tried to show power or sophistication, something went slightly wrong. A platform wobbled, a beam zigzagged, or a drone spun out of control. Humans laughed, not cruelly, but with quiet amusement. They were learning the alien technology while enjoying every little mistake. The alien leader seemed frustrated. It waved its arms, signaling the machines to work perfectly. But humans were ready. One engineer pressed a small button on a floating platform. The platform tilted more than before. Humans held their balance easily. Aliens tried to regain control, but humans laughed quietly, enjoying the minor chaos. Humans were clever, but also respectful. They did not break the machines or touch weapons. They observed, experimented, and used simple tricks to reveal flaws. They were playful, intelligent, and patient. The aliens could not predict them. Then came the biggest demonstration. The aliens activated a massive energy orb that floated above the hall. It glowed with many colors, spinning and humming loudly. Humans stepped back slightly, but no one panicked. One young boy whispered, "It looks like a giant glowing balloon." A group of children giggled. Some adults tried not to laugh. Suddenly, a small drone bumped into the energy orb. The orb wobbled and spun faster. Humans laughed quietly. The aliens tried to correct it, but every adjustment only made things more unpredictable. Humans watched with wide eyes, smiling quietly at the chaos. By the end of the day, the aliens had shown all their greatest technology. Humans had not been impressed in the way aliens expected. Instead, they had laughed, learned, and discovered every flaw. The aliens had traveled across galaxies to show power and sophistication, but humans had outsmarted them with calm observation and humor. The human diplomat bowed politely. "Your technology is amazing," she said. The aliens blinked. She smiled, but the smile was quiet, clever, and full of confidence. Humans had shown respect, but also power. Not with weapons, but with intelligence and laughter. The aliens retreated to discuss privately. Their leader blinked all its eyes rapidly. Humans could see the confusion. Something was changing. The aliens had expected fear and awe, but they had found cleverness, patience, and humor. Humans left the hall quietly. They had seen alien power, but also its weaknesses. They had learned much, and the aliens had learned something too, but not everything. Humans were not ordinary. They were smart, fearless, and playful. Something bigger was coming. The aliens would test humans further, and humans were ready. They could laugh at mistakes, think clearly, and see possibilities where the aliens saw perfection. And humans knew one thing: no matter how mighty an empire seemed, a little cleverness and humor could change everything. The aliens invited humans to a grand banquet in a massive hall. The ceiling was high, glowing with floating lights that changed colors. Tables stretched as far as the eye could see, covered with shiny trays of strange food. Humans entered carefully, curious and cautious. The aliens moved proudly, expecting admiration and awe. The alien leader gestured for humans to sit. Every dish looked unusual. Some glowed, some floated slightly above the plates, and some made soft noises. Humans whispered to each other, pointing and laughing quietly. "Do we eat it or just watch it?" one scientist asked softly. A child peeked at a glowing jelly, poked it, and it wobbled like a jellyfish. Everyone laughed quietly. The aliens began to serve the food. One dish released a mist that smelled sweet but tasted strange. Humans took small bites, making careful faces. The aliens watched, expecting shock or disgust. Instead, humans smiled politely, some giggling quietly at the odd tastes. One diplomat whispered, "Interesting flavor, very unusual." The aliens blinked in confusion. Humans were supposed to be impressed, but they were amused. At another table, a floating fruit moved slightly away as a human reached for it. The child laughed and chased it, waving hands. Adults laughed quietly too, trying to hide it from the aliens. The aliens frowned. They had expected respect and seriousness. Humans were playful, curious, and fearless. The alien leader stood, raising its arms. Its many eyes blinked rapidly. It tried to make a formal speech about human culture and etiquette. Humans listened quietly, nodding politely. But one human engineer whispered a joke about the moving fruit, and a group of humans laughed softly. The aliens' eyes widened. They had never seen humans laugh during a formal event. During the banquet, humans observed everything. They noticed small flaws in alien utensils, odd movements in floating dishes, and strange noises from the walls. They whispered quietly to each other, learning without disturbing the aliens. Even while eating, humans were clever, observing, and playful. At one point, a human child accidentally knocked a small dish off the table. It floated slowly in the air, glowing softly. Humans laughed quietly as they watched it drift. The alien leader blinked in surprise. It hurried to correct the mistake, but every move seemed to make the dish float in an unexpected direction. Humans smiled quietly, enjoying the minor chaos. The aliens had meant to impress with elegance and sophistication. Instead, humans had brought curiosity, laughter, and cleverness into the grand hall. Every gesture, every observation, and every small laugh reminded the aliens that humans were not ordinary. A human diplomat finally spoke to the alien leader. "Your banquet is remarkable," she said politely, smiling. The aliens blinked. They expected fear or praise, but not quiet confidence and amusement. Humans had respect, but also strength in observation and humor. The banquet ended with a glowing dessert that floated above each plate. Humans watched carefully. One young boy touched the dessert, and it wobbled slightly, sending small sparks into the air. Humans laughed softly, while the aliens watched nervously. The dessert did not fall, and no one was harmed, but the humans' laughter showed them that they were not intimidated. As humans left the hall, they whispered among themselves. "We have learned much today," said one officer. "And they have learned something too," replied a scientist. They smiled quietly, knowing they had turned a formal event into a moment of clever observation and small victories. The aliens were left staring at the empty tables, confused and slightly frustrated. Their grand banquet had been perfect in theory, but humans had turned it into a mix of humor, learning, and subtle control. Outside, the humans looked at the stars. They had laughed, observed, and understood more about the aliens' culture and technology. They had not bowed, feared, or fought. They had simply been clever and playful. Something bigger was coming. The aliens would soon test humans in ways even more challenging. But humans were ready. They could think clearly, laugh quietly, and see possibilities that aliens could not imagine. And humans knew one truth. Even in a grand, serious setting, intelligence and humor were stronger than pride and power. The next day, the aliens gathered humans for what they called the ultimate test. The arena was larger than before, filled with strange machines, puzzles, and glowing symbols. The aliens had prepared a challenge that would, in their eyes, prove whether humans were worthy. The alien leader raised its many arms and spoke. Humans could not understand every word, but the gestures were clear: succeed or fail. Humans looked carefully, calm but alert. They had faced strange technology, odd meals, and impossible games, and they had survived with humor and cleverness. The first part of the test was a maze of energy barriers. The barriers moved quickly, creating paths that seemed impossible to cross. Aliens expected humans to panic. Instead, humans studied the barriers, watched the patterns, and moved with precision. A young engineer noticed a small delay in the barrier's movement. He whispered to his team. Using careful timing, they crossed the maze without a single mistake. The aliens blinked all their eyes in surprise. Next, the aliens presented a logic puzzle. Lights, shapes, and floating symbols were arranged in a complex pattern. Humans observed quietly. Some symbols glowed strangely when touched. Others moved in unexpected ways. The humans tried simple strategies first. When that did not work, they combined observation with creativity. Slowly, step by step, the puzzle solved itself under human hands. Aliens gasped. No species had ever completed the puzzle so quickly, and with such simple thinking. Then came the physical test. A massive platform, heavy and glowing, needed to be moved from one end of the arena to the other. Aliens powered their machines, expecting raw strength to dominate. Humans looked at the platform carefully. They tested balance, leverage, and teamwork. Slowly and cleverly, they moved the platform smoothly. No explosions, no crashes, just skill and intelligence. The aliens had thought strength alone mattered. Humans had shown them strategy and coordination were more important. The final test combined everything: a sequence of puzzles, machines, and traps that required observation, logic, and quick thinking. Humans approached calmly. They studied each step, whispered quietly to each other, and worked together. When a machine spun wildly, they adapted. When lights flashed in patterns, they noticed the smallest details. Step by step, humans completed the sequence. Every alien watching blinked in disbelief. The alien leader raised its arms, signaling the end. Humans had passed every part of the ultimate test. No alien had ever expected a small species to succeed. They had traveled across galaxies, shown power, and demanded respect, but humans had outsmarted them without weapons. Humans laughed quietly, exchanging small smiles. The aliens looked frustrated, their pride wounded. But they also felt something new: curiosity and respect. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and fearless. Their laughter, calmness, and intelligence made them different from any species the aliens had ever met. A young diplomat stepped forward. "We thank you for this test," she said politely. The alien leader blinked all its eyes, unsure how to respond. Humans had shown respect, but they had also shown strength in observation, humor, and cleverness. The aliens whispered among themselves. They had expected fear, awe, or simple obedience. Instead, they found humans laughing quietly, thinking clearly, and adapting instantly. They had underestimated the small planet and its people. As humans left the arena, they smiled quietly. They had passed the ultimate test, not through force, but by being clever, calm, and playful. The aliens had learned something important. No matter how mighty an empire, intelligence, humor, and teamwork could overcome pride and power. The sun set over the arena. Humans looked at each other, quietly proud. They had not bowed, not fought, not panicked. They had observed, adapted, and laughed. And the aliens, powerful across the stars, were beginning to understand that humans were a force unlike any other. Something was certain: the mighty empire had met its match. Humans had laughed last in this challenge, but even greater challenges were ahead. The final day had come. The aliens gathered in the great hall, their ships hovering quietly above. The humans entered calmly, confident but respectful. The alien leader blinked all its eyes rapidly, signaling that this was the last moment to show the humans their might. The humans stood together, observing quietly. They had faced alien ships, strange technology, complex games, and an ultimate test, and they had passed each challenge with intelligence, humor, and calm courage. The aliens expected fear or awe. Instead, they saw confidence. The alien leader stepped forward, raising its arms in formal greeting. Humans bowed politely. The leader then made a grand gesture, motioning toward the ships, the machines, the glowing orbs. It was meant to impress. Humans smiled quietly. A few whispered jokes among themselves, just softly enough that the aliens could sense their amusement. Then something unexpected happened. A human child stepped forward, carrying a small, ordinary-looking ball. The child threw it gently toward one of the floating orbs. The orb wobbled, spun, and made a strange sound. Humans laughed quietly, covering their mouths to avoid making it too obvious. The aliens froze. This simple act, so small, so human, was bold, clever, and playful. The alien leader blinked all its eyes, unsure how to respond. Every alien present had traveled across galaxies, conquering worlds, commanding armies, and wielding immense technology. And yet, here on this small blue planet, humans were unpredictable, clever, and fearless. The aliens had come to show power, but they had discovered something far greater. Humor, intelligence, and creativity could challenge even the mightiest empire. The humans laughed softly again, not cruelly, but in quiet triumph. The aliens looked around at each other, realizing that humans had not just passed the tests, they had outshone expectations without a single fight. Pride, power, and technology were impressive, but cleverness, teamwork, and humor were stronger. The alien leader raised its arms one final time. It blinked all its eyes slowly, a silent acknowledgement of defeat, but also of respect. Humans had proven themselves extraordinary. They had not bowed, they had not panicked, and they had not relied on weapons. Instead, They had relied on what made them uniquely human: curiosity, laughter, and intelligence. As the aliens prepared to leave, humans watched quietly. Some waved, some smiled. The aliens had come to show their empire, but they were leaving with a new understanding. Humans were small, fragile, and seemingly simple, but their spirit was unpredictable, clever, and strong. Outside, the sky glowed with the departing ships. Humans laughed quietly, sharing looks of pride and joy. They had faced the mighty empire and had emerged victorious in a way no one expected. Their victory was subtle, clever, and full of humor, a testament to the strength of humanity itself. One young soldier whispered to a friend, "They are mighty, but we are humans. We do not fear, we do not bow, and we can always find a way." The friend smiled, nodding. "And we can laugh while doing it," he added softly. The aliens disappeared into the stars, leaving humans behind. The planet was quiet again, but nothing would ever be the same. Humans had shown that power is not always in weapons, and strength is not always in size. The universe had learned, perhaps for the first time, that humanity was clever, fearless, and full of humor. And on that small blue planet, humans laughed again, because sometimes, laughter is the greatest power of all.